Hello and welcome to AfriDominion. I am Freeman Singirankabo. Thank you so much for tuning in to our program today. And happy 2026 to each and every one of you guys following us live all over the world. Today in particular, we are back on social medias, plugging in so that the rest of Africa, especially countries within Africa, can be able to follow our conversation in real time. I want to give you a huge welcome, and I also want to say welcome, and come and join the conversation as what we have going on in this 2026. It's gonna blow your socks out, guys. It's gonna blow your socks out. And first and foremost, I want to give it a shout to all our technical teams all over who are making this broadcast a reality. I want to give you guys a huge thanks of appreciation as we begin, so that we can tell all our brothers and sisters all over that we are so excited for this coming year, especially bringing back the live conversation so that publicly some of you guys can be able to follow it, especially those of you who haven't been following this conversation for quite a few months. So we have been able to get back online. We also want to ask that you come over, you give us as much support as possible so that we can get this show going. For those of you guys who do not know how to reach out to us, please get to know our website, which is www.afridominion.com, www.afridominion.com, and our main email is info@afridominion.com, info@afridominion.com. Those of you guys who want to give us a call, go there. You'll find our phone number, or if you want to shoot us an email, by all means, feel free. Because this year, guys, there's so much going on, and we want to make sure that nothing is left behind. All right, so in this 2026, so much is happening. So much is happening all over the world, but specifically now, so much is happening here in the United States. But the consequences are going to be felt beyond the borders of the United States, which brings in the conversation that we are going to be having today. And for those of you guys who have not been able to see the conversation, please follow our conversation in real time on X or YouTube. We had intended to get this conversation going on TikTok as well, for those of you guys who do not have access to live television, so that you can be able to follow it. So the conversation of today, we want to talk about the Maduro Playbook, flipped to end every African war in 2026. That's what I really want to talk to you guys about. And we are literally going to have this conversation within 30 to 45 minutes top. We want to make sure that by 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we are done. By the way, I just want to put it out there to you guys that these conversations, the broadcast is normally going to be taking place around 12 Eastern Standard Time in the United States. And we will be rolling it out for about between an hour to 2 hours. And also, we will be bringing back the Kenya-Rwanda broadcast at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With all that said, let's get rolling, guys. Let's get rolling. So, what's been happening, guys? For those of you guys who are not familiar, things are heating up here in the United States. If you haven't been following, the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, is here in the United States. Now, how he got here, there's so many versions, but what we know for sure is that a team of U.S. SEALs went in Venezuela, in the capital, literally snatched the president and his wife and brought him here in the United States to be indicted. And just to make sure that I do not mix things around, I took some notes so that we can be able to actually give you guys some fact evidence, especially because this is quite a topic that's pretty heated up right now. And this topic, or what is happening right now, is going to have ramification all over the world. We call this the Maduro Playbook. What is the Maduro Playbook, according to the way we want to present it today, is a situation where a powerful nation like the United States can go to any country around the world and pick up any one of these presidents, any one of the special interest groups. It doesn't even have to be necessarily a president. It could be anybody as long as you are wanted, and just bring you to the United States. Skipping all the protocols. Guys, literally, every single one of the protocols that normally countries follow has been skipped. Now, the first and foremost, I want to put it out there to you Africans. This new Maduro Playbook being utilized by the administration here in the United States. What lessons is it giving each and every one of you? We have so many warlords in Africa who have been shielded by several countries who literally want the wars to keep on going in Africa. How about we literally get the same playbook and apply it to the African nations, especially these African nations with so many wars, like the DRC, for example, for over 30 years. How about we use the Maduro playbook on the DRC warlords? Now, before I get myself ahead, let's break it down first, because I took the liberty to see how the playbook works and how can it be applied to African countries. I'm more interested in African brothers and sisters, because if anything, guys, if you have seen the title of the conversation today, I just want to see the wars in Africa being over with, being terminated. We don't want no more wars. We don't want no more millions and millions and millions of brothers and sisters in Africa to just perish just because somebody wants to sell a gun, just because somebody wants to make sure that the war machine continues. So let's learn how to grab and snatch. A lot of, all these special interest groups, the same way it's being done here in the United States. Now, if we flip the script and take the Maduro playbook by the administration in the United States, how can it be applied to the African nations? This is literally the baseline of the conversation I want to bring you guys today. Now, it is imperative Africans to see with special care what is happening right now. There's no more immunity to a lot of these presidents, to a lot of these diplomats. The whole concept of immunity has been trashed from the time that the U.S. grabbed Maduro up until now. Or actually going forward, let's put it that way. So now it is up to Africans, especially those of you who have been crying for decades and decades and decades, to literally grab the same playbook and apply it to a lot of these warlords, especially these warlords who have been literally raping our brothers and sisters, unaliving so many people mercilessly, causing havoc throughout the entire African continent, mercilessly. This new playbook is going to have to work. This new playbook is literally going to even up the scores throughout Africa. Now, it's imperative that not only it's utilized, but it also gets to be utilized as an example. Gone are the days where diplomacy takes years and years and years. Within one night, as we have literally observed, a warlord could be brought to justice. To justice. I want to make sure that I put it out there. Whose justice? The people's justice. In this case, here in the United States, there is literally, they decided to want to give justice to Maduro. Their own way. Now, what's keeping Africans from doing the same thing to these warlords? Now, there's something very scary that is coming. Something extremely scary that is coming. If the United States is able to take on such a huge operation, go in any one of these countries, pick up any one of these leaders, what keeps the rest of the countries all over the world to do the same thing? Guys, can you imagine the kind of nightmares this whole Maduro template is going to unleash throughout the world. Now, for the American families, let's put this in a bit of a context, because sometimes there are things that are not necessarily discussed. The United States has base in so many countries all over the world. But now, if we frame it strictly to the African continent, the United States has a lot of bases in many countries within Africa. And these bases are being utilized to launch, literally wars in any countries where the U.S. interest is seen as being, as literally being disrupted. What's going to happen if now this whole playbook, the Maduro playbook, is done as a reverse engineer? Americans, it's important that you see what's being unleashed right now. Now, just to make sure that I do not miss some of the most important point, I tried my very best to see what kind of the Maduro playbook, the template of Maduro playbook, and what it looks like. And I have written down a very few specific things that I believe has been utilized to legitimize what has happened. By the way, I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, especially you Africans, that what just happened to Maduro has happened before. This is not something new. It so happened that we never knew about it, but I have done some research, and I found that this has literally happened before. Now, before I get myself ahead, I want to start first by the Maduro playbook that the United States has literally unleashed as an example towards the rest of the world. Now, what are these playbook? I want to give you guys pointers. It's about four very specific steps that this template follows. And these steps goes as follows. First and foremost, the U.S. created indictments. That's number one. It's very imperative that you collect all the evidence and basically create a court, indict whoever it is that needs to be indicted. That's step number one. Step number two, the legitimize. You have to make sure that especially these leaders, the legitimacy of a leader has to be taken off. Meaning, take away the immunity, take away all that they are using to ensure that nothing happens to them. Guys, do you remember the Spanish arrest warrants for Rwanda, for example? Those warrants are still standing today. Now, given what the administration has just done, the Maduro template, you could literally go and pick up every single one of those generals, every single one of those people throughout those indictments and bring them to justice overnight. It has been showed that it's possible, that it can be done. So going back to what the main playbook, how it's done and how it gets to be legitimizes. First, these indictments have been created. We already know that there are plenty of indictments that have literally been created. Now, I will zero in towards the African narrative. I just want to give you guys the overall playbook. So first and foremost, the indictments. Secondly, you make sure that you delegitimize. Every legitimate leader is completely delegitimized, because that's what the United States has done towards Maduro. Number three, skip the diplomacy. Forget the whole entire back and forth. Hey, we'd like you to give you such, this guy or that president or that leader. Skip it all. The U.S. has shown that, hey, if you got the muscle, you can go wherever it is you want to go and do what you got to do. And then raids. Guys, overnight, it has been celebrated throughout the United States that the raids was flawless in Caracas, Venezuela. Guys, can you see the audacity and the boldness of going to any one of these presidential palace, pick up a president and his wife, and unalive a few presidential guards, bring him in the plane all the way to New York in front of a judge. I mean, this has never happened in these few dozens of years. It's happened before, but this is something new that especially us as young people, we've never seen before. Now, what are the impacts? So once you extract the special interests, those who have been indicted, you bring him over where you need him to bring him over. In this instance, Maduro is brought in jail in the United States. A sitting president, guys. A sitting president. And of course, now the US media is having a field trip. So many spins of the story of what is happening. Right or wrong, it is happening. Now, here's the scary thing. Here is the scary thing, America. What happens if any one of the leaders, the US leaders, past, present, and future, is grabbed while, let's say, taking a vacation with his family or her family? Can you imagine what's going to happen? While right now in the United States, all the legal channels have been opened to explicitly explain why is it legitimate to do what has happened. What's keeping the rest of the world to do the same thing? America has waged wars in many countries. Look at Iraq, look at Kuwait, look at Afghanistan, look at Somalia, for example. Look at all these places that the United States is fighting. What happens if the people use the same Maduro playbook towards the United States, towards the United States' interest, inland and abroad? What's going to happen, guys? Let's keep it real. It's not going to be a pretty scene. Imagine how scary it's going to be if any one of the US representatives abroad is grabbed. Guys, these things are not funny. This is something extremely scary that has been unleashed. While right now it may be only contained to Maduro as a new template, imagine what's going to happen going forward. What's keeping the Venezuelans to reciprocate, for example? What's keeping other governments all over the world to reciprocate? We may call it a win here in the United States, but now every US citizen at home and abroad is exposed. Consequently, now all the CIA assets all over the world, they're going to be in trouble. How quickly is the United States going to respond to every single one of those incidents that may potentially occur as a result? Now, as a US citizens in any one of these countries, you could be targeted as a CIA asset. How will you explain that you are not a CIA asset? Especially when all along the administration say, hey, all our assets within Venezuela have been deployed. Guys, the world is changing in front of our eyes today. The rules of engagement have been completely changed. Look at how quickly everything is going. Imagine what's going to happen if the same playbook is enacted throughout the entire Africa, especially in countries where there is war. We have wars right now. What's going to happen? This is a scary scene, guys. This is a scary scene that's already been showed that it's possible. Now, in the interest of all of us, brothers and sisters, it is so difficult that things are going to be happening, and all of us, we're just going to stand by and watch it all happens. It's going to be crazy. It is going to be crazy. I don't know about you, but I see a fallout coming. I see a storm coming. Now, most of the US citizens who do not necessarily follow what is happening may potentially be the casualty of wars. And I wonder if the administration has already thought about that. But now on the African side, all these dictators who have been unaliving people for so many years, what's keeping the legal frameworks that's already existing within Africa to do the Maduro Playbook on them? Now, as I was researching, there's so many already existing ways to do that. And I want you to see specifically the same playbook, the same Maduro playbook, how it can be applied in Africa. And by the way, I can tell, I can foresee that what's happening today in the United States may potentially happen in so many places all over the world. Consequently, and unfortunately, innocent lives are going to literally be caught up in between. Now, personally, I'm interested in seeing the wars in Africa completely terminated by the end of 2026. Every warlords within Africa taken out. In front of a trial in a short amount of time. No more Arusha. Remember, guys, Arusha has taken many years. Many years. No more Arusha style of trials taking place. Now the playbook is the Maduro playbook. Get all these warlords, take them out. Now the interesting part, remember, Africans are now creating weaponries. These weaponries are coming from the West. These weaponries are coming from literally outside of Africa. Either the United States, Europe, Asia, Australia. A lot of these gun manufacturing, weapon manufacturing industries, now they may potentially be a part of the Maduro playbook. What's gonna keep Africans from doing a Maduro playbook towards a CEO of any one of these gun industries and aliving brothers and sisters on the continent of Africa? Guys, think about what is happening right now. Identify these brothers and sisters who are literally waging wars, of which are unaliving a lot of Africans. We're talking about millions and millions and millions of Africans being unalived every single day. Families cry, but that becomes the end of it. Just like a drama series on TV. Every single day, we literally hear of many lives being unalived. By terrorism organizations, by government, raw government agencies, by illegitimate governments. Now we can see that at any given time, if the people so choose to illegitimize any government, it can happen like this. So, let's keep it real. How can we applied the Maduro Playbook towards Africa and African dictators, African warlords who have committed treason against Africans, against the African interest. One, there's a long-standing indictment ready by African criminal chambers. Right now, as we speak, there is something that they call the Malabo Protocol fast track. We can fast track it for 2026. But if you guys can go check what they call the Malabo Protocol. If that Malabo Protocol literally goes live, goes in active mode, the template can literally take care of the rest. It's already there. Now, let's be a little bit more detailed. If the Malabo Protocol issues continental warrants for the top 20 foreign war profiteers, and you may as well add the puppeteer, literally pick up the 20 top warlords, or those who are, who are looking after the interests of these war machineries. Pick them up. And if you look under the names of the protocols, they already have actually a database of person of interest. Get that going. Declare targets. Criminal regimes. That would be number 2. Strip sovereignty. Have AU emergency summit this year. Unanimously set up these resolutions. Any leader or corporation prolonging conflicts in Africa for foreign profits has to be labeled a criminal. Strip them of their immunity and make sure that they have no sovereign protection. Guys, this is literally what the US has done. Identify the key persons of interest, including corporations. Make sure that you strip them of the so-called immunity of any kind. We already know that millions and millions of Africans have already been unalived for decades and decades and decades and decades. Number 3, no extradition request. Make sure that there is literally no extradition request. The US did not ask any extradition in Venezuela. They just went and grabbed Maduro and others who are key interest to the US interest. Do the same thing. Forget any more of those letters to Washington, to Paris, to Brussels, requesting for permission. The US is asking nobody's permission to do what it needs to do, because you already know what the answer is going to be. There has to be a very specific direct action order. And this direct action order by the African has to be unilateral, has to be on point. There is a necessity for the Africans to have the African Union soldiers, unlike the ones that we already have. Actually, let's call them like African military police that has no allegiance to any single country, any single president, that works for the African people, for the interest of the African people. These forces should be given the mandate to execute all these impossible or close to impossible missions. Now the boots on the ground. It has to make sure, we've got to make sure that just the same way it has taken place in Venezuela, it can be replicated elsewhere, especially in Africa. Guys, we can end these wars overnight, the same way Maduro was taken out overnight. What's keeping the DRC and the rest of Africa to go in the DRC and grab all these warlords overnight? Make sure that they literally end up in any one of these cells, either in Kinshasa or Addis. By next week, set up courts against them, set up indictments against them. In front of our eyes, we have been showed that it's possible. It can be done. So what's keeping Africans from getting it done? Guys, this is a new world order in front of us right now. And the US is literally not joking. However, same playbook now can be utilized globally. It's no longer going to be the US interest. It's going to be every country's interest. Now, the scariest part, who are going to be the casualty of this new Maduro playbook? I wonder if the administration has already thought about that. Before I jump a little further down, remember there were 8 steps, guys? So we already talked about the indictment, delegitimize the authority of those alleged criminals, no extradition requests to any of the so-called powerful nations, direct order of grab in any one of these region and location countries, boots on the ground to basically do the snatch, do the grab. It's possible, it's doable. And extract all targets. Guys, today Africa is full of warlords who have literally unalived millions and millions and millions of people, who are being given the support from overseas, from outside of forces within and outside of Africa. Let's study, let's document every single one of these incidents, as we have been anyway doing it, and now push it towards a call of action. Court appearance within 36 hours. Guys, now this is epic. Can you imagine grabbing any one of these warlords and within 36 hours present them in front of a court? DRC, I hope you're watching this. The DRC citizens and the rest of Africa, I hope you're watching this as one example. Tens of millions of Congolese innocent lives unalived. Innocent lives unalived. It's been more than 30 years now, and still no justice up to this very point. Why not sanction operations and literally grab every person of interest and make sure that they see a court within 36 hours? Now, as we do the best to keep it real, we already know that the Congolese wars, for example, is being supported by Rwanda. What would happen if the Maduro playbook is utilized in Urugwiro, which is a presidential palace within Rwanda, all the stakeholders who have literally unleashed these 30-year wars in the DRC. Grab them within 36 hours. And make sure that they see a judge, be it Arusha or anywhere else within Africa. And do it the African style. Ask no permission in Washington. Ask no permission in Paris. Ask no permission in Quebec or London or Sydney or Brussels. Just do what needs to, do what has to be done in the interest of African people. The world is changing in front of us, guys. And the changes taking place are going to require people who are fearless to literally make sure that it takes place. These old people who have overseen many wars within and outside of Africa. For these past 30 to 40 years. They literally have been on the spearhead of all these wars. They're looking after the interest of the puppets masters, of the masters, let's put it that way. Definitely not in the interest of Africans. We already know. So, I told you that I will keep it real, given that the time is running short, and I am trying to make sure that we're not going to speak over and over and over the same thing. 54 nations in Africa. Wars raging in a lot of these countries. Open wars and cold wars and terrorism, literally. Nations see soldiers residing in the streets with weapons 24/7. This is not the way of life that we were accustomed to many years ago, but it's the reality in many countries today. Soldiers never live in their barracks no more. They are on the streets every single day. They're playing the police. But the saddest thing, those same playbooks have also been brought to the United States. Now you have soldiers in several cities right now. Gone were the days when you saw a Marine, a U.S. Army soldier on the streets of any one of the major cities within the United States. That just was never a thing. But now it's an image that's becoming more and more and more familiar. What is it doing to the people? Both the American citizens and foreigners. But what is it also communicating to the rest of Africa specifically? Young people, you better watch what is happening right now. You better watch what is happening. And start rethinking home. Home and home. There's so many changes that are going to be taking place right now. And the majority of these changes will not be in the interest of African families, of African communities, nor African nations. So at what point are the sons and daughters of Africa going to demand that their own interest is looked after? And who is going to look after those interests? It certainly isn't going to be the United States. It certainly isn't going to be France. It certainly isn't going to be Russia, China, or Australia. It is only and only going to be done by the Africans themselves. So time for games is done, guys. It's over. And with that in mind, I want to wrap it up. I told you guys today I am not going to sugarcoat it. There's so much to be said. But what is happening right now, it is going to unleash things that we have never seen before. And those of you who may potentially end up being the casualty of wars, get ready because it's coming. Now, there's one quick takeaway also that I want you to remember. Those of you who have given a lot of these so-called police, global police, access to your homelands, these warships are parked in front of your homeland. Military bases, giving them access to come in and out as they please. In whose interest is that looking after? It certainly isn't Africans. So there is a necessity to re-evaluate everything that is happening in Africa specifically. Those who are not looking after the interests of African people, they must go. End of a story. Don't sugarcoat it, just say it for what it is. And you need to be bold enough to also communicate that the same thing. Because failing to do so will literally be very costly to many African lives. Many, many, many African lives. And this time around, who's going to be blamed? Is it going to be the outsiders or is it going to be African themselves? You're going to have to judge for yourselves as Africans. So, let me keep it real. Let me end it here. Like I said before, this year is going to be extremely, extremely, extremely fast. So many things are going to be happening. But one of the biggest, this Maduro Playbook. Don't be shocked when you see it being enacted in many, many, many other nations, especially in Africa. Don't be shocked all of a sudden when you see some of the old presidents being taken in custody. Not just African presidents. The Western presidents. The Western diplomats. Those who have had a hand in the innocent lives of which or who were perished, who have already been unalived, be it today, yesterday, or several decades ago. The playbook is changing, guys. And things are going to be changing very, very, very rapidly. Now, the American families, it's imperative that you get to see what is happening and how it can quickly really, really, really become very negative towards U.S. citizens abroad. Don't be shocked when you see retaliation in Venezuela. We already hear that the U.S. is going to take charge of it. What happens if it fails? If it becomes another Afghanistan? What happens if it becomes another Iraqi? What happens if the playbook changes? What happens if it changes everything that's already pre-planned? Who's going to take the liability of innocent Marines, innocent soldiers who may be left behind in Venezuela or any one of these installations where the United States currently has taken holds? So many things has to be reassessed. At the end of the day, there are many innocent lives that may potentially lose their lives as consequences. And I'm wondering who's going to be the responsible party. Hey, those were my 2 cents. Welcome to 2026. And I want to let you know, guys, that we are back, especially those of you guys who have been following us live for several years. We definitely are back. And we want to make sure that you come and join the conversation. We are going to have a new habit of starting the conversation that only lasts between 30 to 1 hour for the broadcast. This way we can be able to maximize the resources that have been trusted to us. And above all, make sure that we do not misuse the resources at our disposal, especially the fewer resources that we have right now, because there's so much to be utilized all over. And with that in mind, guys, this is the end of our conversation today. I want to give a huge shout out to our technical team for having made this broadcast a reality, a possibility. I also want to wish you guys a beautiful Happy New Year of 2026. For those of you guys who have been working tirelessly to bring back the broadcast, to bring back the resources. Also, it would be remiss if I didn't ask for those of you guys who would like to give us a hand, who would like to help us with this broadcast. We are going to be more than grateful for your generosity. And again, if they can share our contact information so that those of you guys who know what time it is do what needs to be done. Guys, it is going to have to be done by us. Learn how to look after the interest of your own people, of your own communities, of your own families, of your own nations. This is a new world order, guys. You might as well be a part of it. So for those of you guys who want to get in touch with us, go to our website, which is www.afridominion.com. www.afridominion.com. Our main email is info@afridominion.com. info@afridominion.com. We would love to hear from you. And there's so much to come. And with that in mind, guys, you already know who I am. You San Freeman Bikorwa Singirankabo. And we want to keep it real. This 2026, we are going to keep it real. We are going to speak the truth for what it is. And we are not afraid to nobody. We are not afraid, guys. You cannot be afraid in 2026 and beyond. What's the point if you become afraid and still end up being useless? As opposed to speak your truth, fight for your truth, fight for your homeland. Because if you don't do it, nobody else will. We want to just keep it real. All right. So with that in mind, guys, thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for indulging the time we have spent today. Starting today, as I have already told you, we are going to be back. The normal broadcast is going to take place at 12 o'clock on the English side. And then the Kenya-Rwanda, we also want to bring back the Kenya-Rwanda version, is going to be taking place at 2 p.m. These are Eastern Standard Time, meaning the U.S. Broadcast time. All right. So with that in mind, guys, I want to give you a huge thanks to those of you who are following us via television, those of you who are following us via social media. I am so grateful for the opportunity to be standing in front of you guys. Thank you for indulging us. Until we see you back again, I am Freeman Singirankabo here at our studio. God be with you guys. God bless. Be safe in all your endeavors. Until I see you guys again. Peace.